Hey guys, this is Tony with Inner Geek Designs. Today I'm back with another Affinity video. Today I want to talk about the basics of the new Affinity that just dropped. We're now at Affinity 3.0. It's completely free to download and to learn how to use it. It's a great software if you're getting into design, or if you've been a designer for a bit and you're kind of sick of Adobe like me. So let's go over some of the basics of the interface, some of the features that it has, and let's just hop into it. Alright, so when we open up the new Affinity, this is what it looks like. This is the new interface, and this is your new home section. Let's close this right now just to get a bigger view of what this new software looks like. So over here we have just your normal, typical stuff, but over here is where a lot of the magic happens. So Affinity used to be 3 different pieces of software. So down here we have Affinity Designer, Photo, and Publisher. Now they are all in here. These actually change how the app works and how the app is going to do your design work. So defaults, vector, pixel, layout, and Canva, or AI, sorry. The AI features you have to pay to get. You just need a Canva premium membership, and it'll also cover Affinity as well. But as you can see, as I switch these, my panels change. What I have over here changes, and how these layouts change. You can modify these however you want and make them how you look and work how you want. I mainly work in vector, so I have that mainly laid out how I want it. But let's make a new document. So we're gonna go to File, New. And over here we have our template for making new layouts. So over here you have some preset options. These are for different things. These are for web, devices, print, etc., etc. If you've worked in Illustrator or Photoshop, these will look very similar. Over here, you can also make your own custom settings. So let's say over here, I want to change my document units. I want to change the DPI, the size, the color format, color profile. A lot of these are very similar to what you're used to. If I need a transparent background, if I want to use artboard, so like how I use it in Illustrator, if I want that feature, or if you're using it in versions of Photoshop, you can do that as well here. Image placements, you can have this automatically set up to embed images, which is great. Or if you need to work in a document that you need to export, you can do linked. Or say if you're doing a template that you need to rotate images out, you can also do a linked image there. Import text files is linked as well. You can preserve text styles. You can set up multi-page for when you're doing a brochure or a document like that. You can set up margins here in the document. You can set up bleed. You can also do a scale if you need to do this for some drawing that you're working on, or if you're doing this for like a render for a mock-up of a car or a wrap, you can do that as well. But let's just say that we're going to start off with a business card. I already have a business card layout done. As you can see, it switches all my settings. I got my margin and my bleed set up. And let's create that document so we see what it looks like to start out. And then as you can see, we have our bleed here. We have our margin here. And this white area is our finish size. All of that was built in just as we made the preset. So it's easy just to one click and do it. Let's go over some of the things that we're looking at on this. A lot of this will look very familiar if you're used to old Affinity, or if you're used to Illustrator, but it'll just be slightly different of where things are located. So over here are our tool panels. So we have our move tool. We have our artboard tool. So say if we need to add new artboards, we can just add them and it'll click and make new artboards. We can also change the artboard sizes up here. We can change the spacing, very similar to what you're used to. Then we have our direct selection tools, or they call it the node tool, the point transformation tool. If you ever see one of these little corner pieces, that means there's more tools underneath that, and the tools will always appear up here. The thing I love is you can move this wherever you want, and it'll remember that you want it there. And then we have our corner tool. So instead of having corners work similar to like how we do in Photoshop or Illustrator, where it's connected to the object, it's connected to this tool. So as you see, as I work with this object or this artboard, I'm actually changing the shape. And I'm actually changing the shape of the artboard itself, which is something crazy to think about if you come from Photoshop or Illustrator. Hi, Opie. And then we have the contour tool. This is for if you want to do this to a shape or change a shape, how it works. You can do that as well. We have our pen tool, very similar to what you're used to in Photoshop. We have our pencil tool, but underneath that we have other tools too. We have our path brush, we have our knife tool. So if you're used to like some Illustrator, if you're looking for the knife tool, it's not underneath the eraser like you're normally used to. We have the stroke width tool, which you're very familiar with. We have our gradient tool. And then we have also underneath that, we have the transparency tool. So great things to look for. The whole thing I love about this is underneath the rectangle tool, we have all of our shapes. The thing I love about shapes in Affinity is how they work. So let's grab the polygon tool. Let's make one real quick. Now see, I made this. Let's say I didn't like how this actually looked. Let me change this color real quick first. Let me go to CMYK slider, and let me just make this a red so it's more noticeable. Okay. Let's say I don't like how this actually looked. Maybe I forgot I needed more sides. Well, I can go up here. And even after this tool is made, I can now change the sides. I said, oh crap, I need to make this curve actually. I can change that now. So this is something great. I love this. Illustrator has added something similar to this, but this is still the best version I've seen. And I love it. And then we have some presets already made in here, which is even better for you. Down here, we have our shape builder tool, which if you're used to it, you're used to it in other tools. We have our vector flood tool, which is similar to, I forget what it's called in Illustrator, but it's the, basically you can fill very similar shapes and stuff. The text tool works differently. Text frame is basically a text box. Your artistic text is very similar to your usual Illustrator where you just have a text come out. So as you see, we can do that. And if we hold Control, we can zoom in and zoom out with our scroll wheel. But up here always changes with whatever tool you have. So your settings are never overwhelmed with you. They will change with you at least. We have our place tool, so if you need to place something, our vector crop tool, our measure tool, which this is a great tool to have. I love that they've included this. Then we have our eyedropper tools, which eyedroppers work a little bit different, but not that hard to get used to. Up here, we also have some settings that will change based on what you have selected. So up here, we actually have our Pathfinder tools. Easy use, easy to find. We have our flip tools, which I love that they're here. They're easy to use. Let's make this an actual odd shape so you can see that it flips. There we go. We have our alignment tools, which are great here also. And all our panels over here, we can modify, we can take away, we can add, we can make it how we want to. One thing I love about Affinity is that these tools where our layers are all easily usable. So let's say, the first thing I'll say is that in layers, when you're using an artboard, your artboard will actually have the layers underneath it, which is, it takes a bit to get used to, but once you're used to it, I love this feature. So let's say we select this polygon shape we have. Our opacity and our layer settings are all right here. Easily usable, easily findable, easily trackable. Another thing that is, if you right click, you will have a slew of settings up here. These are all settings that are found somewhere, but it's also just sometimes convenient to right click and have these pull up. So there's stuff like geometry, there's transformation, layer effects, yada yada yada. I love this, I love it so much. But let's say we're working on this and we realize, oh crap, I worked on this vector, but I actually need to do some photo work. I can just select pixels, and now it switches to photo mode. I am still in the same document. These are still vector objects. But now it is going to photo mode, so it's now that I can do raster effects in the same document. That's what makes this software so smooth, so efficient, so easy to use. I could do the same thing. I say, oh crap, I actually meant to make this as a document. I can now do that in here as well. That is what I love about this software. That's why I've switched from Adobe to Affinity. But this is just a quick overview of the overall software, just to get a good feel for it, get a good understanding of what the UI looks like, and get a little bit of a 50,000 view from it. We're going to go into more detail of these tools and settings in this software, but I just want to do a few 500 feet view look of the software. And yeah. If there's some specific tool or some specific thing you want to learn about how to do an Affinity, just leave it down in a comment down below and I'll try to get to it. If you learned something or if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. See ya.